Today and probably the next several days actually, I'm going to be taking off and working on the rear leaf springs of my 98 Ram 1500. There's a couple videos that kind of sort of go into detail on this, but not to the level that I wanted, so I wanted to make a quick video on it. I'm not going to record every single step, just go through the highlights. You obviously don't need me to see me remove every single bolt or anything like that. But the reason I'm doing this, I'm getting some wobbling and some bouncing in the rear of my truck, and I suspect it's probably the bushings and the leaf springs and the shackles. They all look like paper mache, basically. So I think there's something going on there. Plus, it's probably good maintenance to do. While I was in here, I also bent some new rear brake lines. I got a new parking brake that I need to install, so I may include that here in this video. But I already did the other side, so I kind of already know what I'm doing, sort of. Not really, but anyway, it'll go easier this time, I hope. The only difference on this side is I don't have my easy access hole for really getting in there to grind out some rivets. And then on this side, you also have to drop the tank. So I'm basically just going to go ahead and get started, and then you guys are along for the ride. So let's try and do it. Also, here's the other side, now complete. I did paint a little bit just to hopefully help with some rust. You've got the new hanger and shackle installed. The new hanger is a Dorman product. The shackle also is a Dorman product. And then up front, I also installed the new bushing into that leaf spring. And like I said, repainted, made sure everything was aligned properly, anti-seize on literally everything. So hopefully that makes it easier if I have to take this apart again. Okay, so first step is to get the shackle bolts off. I believe it's a 21. So mine were pretty rusty the first time, and my impact was not able to get them off first shot. So I'm going to go ahead and use a breaker bar, and this should hopefully make it. Get them loose to start, and then impact the rest of the way off to make life easy. So I'll go ahead and... Am I going the right way? No, I am tightening. It'd help if I went the right direction. Try and remove your lower holder, springs, retainers, whatever these are called. Get this guy out so it doesn't fall on me. Just a little rust. And now this is basically just held in there with the old hardware. And unfortunately, I believe you need to drop the gas tank to get to the back leaf spring bolt. And I'm really not looking forward to that, so yep. Okay, like I said, there's the old hanger. Definitely seen some better days. So I'm going to go ahead and try and get this lower bolt and this topper bolt out so that this will then free up Then I'll start working on the front one. Slow and steady wins the race. You give a man a lever arm and a big enough pivot point, he can move the universe. Yep. Alright. That's one bolt down. Sit there. And the other one. Okay, so I actually got that nut off relatively easily. It took a lot of oomph with a breaker bar, but eventually I got it. And now, unfortunately, like I said, the gas tank has to come down in order to get this bolt through. So I'm gonna have to go read up on how to do that. Hopefully it's not too hard, and hopefully I don't really break anything, so hopefully I can just drop this down maybe a foot or two. I might have to move my jacks, and we'll go from there. Okay, so this happened last time where I could not get this bolt out, and the only way that I could, the end of this is a 10, and so what I did was I would rotate it a little bit, beat on it with a hammer, rotate it, beat on it with a hammer, rotate it. Just gonna work it back and forth. Just try and free it up without snapping it. Oh no. Well, that just ruined my plan. Alright, so I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but I'm going to use a angle grinder with a cutoff wheel. Come in here, cut the bolt, drop this out, and then I should have an easier time pumping that out. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. So that took an uncomfortably abnormal amount of time to get done. I had to use the air hammer in there, and it just took forever. I couldn't get the grinding wheel all the way through. You can see where I kind of messed up here. May have bent that hole a little bit, but I finally was able to punch that out with the air hammer. Like I said, you can kind of see there where I couldn't get through the bolt all the way. Man, I wasn't even halfway through. So now I'm going to work on getting the rest of this shock apart. Okay, so I was kind of rushing last night, and I didn't really explain this all that well, but now what you gotta do is you gotta get the bushing out, and what I like to do is I like to use the chisel bit on my my air hammer, get the rubber out. Now I've already gotten the metal collar inside out because I used the ball joint press for that, and I found that's probably the easiest way. Sometimes when I pushed it through, it tore up the rubber, so it made it a little easier to get this out. But I get the rubber out, and then I fold the ends in on the top, and flip it over, do the same thing, and then I just drive it out with a mallet. So I'm basically gonna just do that for a little while. Hopefully get this done tonight. Where's my mallet? Okay, like I said, I'm just going to beat on it. This will take a while. There you go. One leaf spring bushing. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'll clean this inside a little bit. I'll put some heat on the inside a little bit to expand it, and I've got the new bushings in the freezer, and then I'll go ahead and tap them in. While I'm here, I'm also going to close up these leaf spring clamps. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Just get that aligned a little bit straighter. And now, for the direction that I put the bushing in, because the bushing has a flange on it, the one that goes over, let me push this way. So the side of the leaf spring that folds over goes in the back, and on the other side, I don't know why, but I just decided this way to put the flange facing out. So since this is in the back and it's on the driver's side, I'm going to have it so that the flange is this way. So clean this surface up a little bit. I don't know why, whatever. Flip that, because I'm going to have to beat on it. Just heat that up a little bit. Or not, we don't have to. We're not in the mood. Like I said, I've had this in the freezer for a while. So, just want to get your bushing, get a socket that's the appropriate outside so you're not bashing it in on anything. Start working it in. Okay, that's down flush around. Now, like I said, I don't really think this rubber does anything. There's metal behind it. It rests on this. It clamps against this inner bushing, rather. So I don't really know what that's for, but I did bend that side in a little bit, but I think it'll be fine. So let's do the other side. Okay. And by the way, I don't think, looking at this, I do not believe I peened that in. I think that's just me cutting the gasket out. So anyway, both bushings are in. I'm going to quick wire brush this a little bit, maybe paint it, whatever. Get ready for install back in the truck. Alright, so it's the next day, and like I said yesterday, I finally got that hanger off and that bolt through. So next up is going to be getting the front hanger off, maybe do a little bit of cleaning here, and then getting this old hanger out. Now I took the other one off and I probably didn't need to take it out, but you know, I'm here. When am I really going to be doing this again? So I'll get the grinder all hooked up, and I'm just going to get at it. So one thing that I like to do is I like to cut a bunch of slits into the rivet to kind of come at it from a bunch of angles, because trying to grind this off just as itself is, geez, almost impossible. So anyway, I'll make a bunch of cuts and slits and stuff in it, and then come back with the air hammer to try and take a bulk of it off. And that tends to help a lot, so I'm going to give that a shot, see how well that works. There you have it. It's slightly better and easier to manage cutting off of the rivet. So I'm just going to clean that up with a grinding wheel, beat that with a hammer. Success. Such a pain in the butt. Oh my god. Well, that's that. Now I'll come back with a cutting wheel, cut those off flush, maybe heat them up, and then bang them in with the air hammer. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Just be careful because that's really, really hot. So, definitely don't want to get burned by that. So I've also painted this stuff with rust reformer. Not sure really honestly how much it'll do, but it's better than nothing, right? Okay, now I'm going to be installing the new rear spring hanger, and all the bolts are going to get an ample amount of anti-seize because I'm tired of dealing with crappy rust and everything else. So let's get this installed. Hope I didn't mess up the holes. At least not too much. Okay, and now these bolts don't actually have a torque spec. So what I did was they're about a grade 8 bolt, and I believe just under ½ inch in diameter. So according to a couple different torque charts and things, I torqued them down to 90 foot-pounds. Probably should be around 80, 85, but I figure with the anti-seize it slips a little bit, so I'll get the torque wrench and I'll tighten these down. Okay, a lot of work, but that is one rear hanger for a 2nd gen Ram installed. Now it's time to gear up and get ready to install a leaf spring, because I really want to get this back in before it starts raining or whatever. And I can focus on the parking brake and the rear drums and everything, but at least I'll be able to get this back on jack stands instead of having the frame jacked up, so that'll make me a little bit more comfortable. Good enough for government work. Okay, let's get some hardware on. Okay, so with these loose, get your lower bushing bolts through, put the nuts on, tighten these down a little snug, get those a little snug, but don't torque anything. Okay, and then after trying to get the gas tank in the right position for what feels like 2 hours, you're finally at the point where you can start torquing up your bolts. On the 1500s, it's 110 foot-pounds for the retaining and then eyelet bolts, and then you just need to make sure that you're supporting the weight on the springs as you torque them down. So, time to go ahead and torque everything down. Alright, that's that. Now we've got all the suspension torqued down to 110 foot-pounds. That's that. Alright. So, idiot check. The wheels are torqued down. That's the big one with me, unfortunately. So the wheels are torqued down, the suspension is all torqued, the brake lines are in, bled the brakes, parking brake is on, all the leaf spring bolts are all torqued down. I think we're good for a test drive. So like I said, this was all done primarily to try and reduce the bounce in the back end. So let's see if there's any improvement whatsoever. And also let's see how the rebuilt rear brakes are going to work. Well, we're moving and we didn't blow up, so that's good. Brakes feel good. Still a little mushy. I'll probably bleed them again later, after I give the brakes some time to settle. But the front brakes are working. That's all that matters. Okay, a little jumbly in the back. That's nothing new. The spare tire is not in. Alright, this is the moment of truth once I get up to about 40 miles an hour here. I don't think this fixed it. Damn it. So much work too. Literally so much work. Hours and hours of work. Nah, the back is still bouncing around. You can probably see it on camera, but man, that's a real shame. Like I said, that was so much work. So much work. I mean, it was obviously good to do. Like those rear bushings and those shackles were probably going to explode any time. I'm sure this did nothing but help. I mean, maybe my shocks are too strong, or not my shocks in the back. Maybe they're too strong, so they're expecting a heavy load, so they don't do well with no load in the back. So, you know, maybe I'll buy 200 pounds of cement, throw that in the back, and see if that has any effect. So, was it worth it? Probably not. I really wish I had a solid explanation as to what this is, though, because besides the frame mounts at this point, unless it's in the front of the truck, I would have expected this to be an issue with the back. Like, oh, my springs are too bouncy, and so the bushings are locked up, and when the bushings are locked up, it's not equalizing itself fine. I don't know. I mean, the frame could just be completely rusted and broken and it's just a load of crap. That is most certainly a possibility. Definitely don't discount that. But like, I don't know, I really thought this would be it. So, back to the drawing board, I guess, to try and figure out what the problem is. It's a real shame. A good learning experience, you know, how to take things apart, how to troubleshoot when you don't have every single tool to fix everything. So it definitely wasn't for nothing, but it is a shame that it did not fix the issue. So we'll get him next time.
Well, next time was going to happen sooner or later, and I about drove myself crazy with all my tests. Jacking up the rear of the truck to look for vibrations in the bed and the rear tires, watching the drive shaft at speed, looking for play in the tires, and watching the bed bounce during normal driving. Sticking my action cam all over the front and rear suspension while driving to watch for any movement. Removing the rear drive shaft and running on 4-wheel drive to test the front drive line. Running the front differential without a cover, and even so far as gauge testing the run out of the hubs. Well, there you have it. After all that effort and testing, it wound up just being the wheels. I had a strange feeling it was probably wheel related, but knowing these were new tires and balanced recently, I figured that wasn't the case. Just goes to show you to trust your gut feeling during these things. Thanks for watching along. Hope this helped you either with working on your leaf springs, or bushings, or fixing a bounce issue in the back of your truck. Like and subscribe to make me feel better about all the hard work I put into these videos, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.